The dhole is a canid native to Central, South and Southeast Asia. Other English names for the species include Asiatic wild dog, Indian wild dog, whistling dog, red wolf, red dog, and mountain wolf. It is genetically close to species within the genus Canis, though its skull is convex rather than concave in profile. It lacks a third lower molar, and the upper molars sport only a single cusp as opposed to 2 to 4. During the Pleistocene, the dhole ranged throughout Asia, Europe and North America, but became restricted to its historical range 12,000–18,000 years ago. The dhole is a highly social animal, living in large clans without rigid dominance hierarchies and containing multiple breeding females. Such clans usually consist of 12 individuals, but groups of over 40 are known. It is a diurnal pack hunter which preferentially targets medium and large-sized ungulates. In tropical forests, the dhole competes with tigers and leopards, targeting somewhat different prey species, but still with substantial dietary overlap. It is listed as endangered by the IUCN, as populations are decreasing and estimated at less than 2,500 adults. Factors contributing to this decline include habitat loss, loss of prey, competition with other species, persecution, and disease transfer from domestic dogs. Etymology and naming. The etymology of dhole is unclear. The earliest possible written use of the word in English occurred in 1808 by soldier Thomas Williamson, who encountered the animal in Ramhur district. He stated that dhole was a common local name for the species. In 1827, Charles Hamilton Smith claimed that it was derived from a language spoken in various parts of the East. 2 years later, Smith connected this word with Turkish, deli, mad, crazy, and erroneously compared the Turkish word with Old Saxon, dol and Dutch, dol, which are in fact from the Proto-Germanic *, foolish, stupid. Richard Lydecker wrote nearly 80 years later that the word was not used by the natives living within the species range. The Merriam-Webster dictionary theorizes that it may have come from the Kannada, Tola, local and indigenous names discovery, taxonomy and evolution. He described the animal as being a regular pack hunter of alpine ibex, and of bearing many similarities with the golden jackal. It was given the binomial name Canis alpinus in 1811 by Peter Pallas, who described its range as encompassing the upper levels of Udskoy Ostrog and Amorland, towards the eastern side and in the region of the upper Lena River, though he wrote that it also occurred around the Yenisei River, and that it occasionally crossed into China. This northern Russian range, reported by this nearly impeccable author Pallas, during the 18th and 19th centuries, is considerably north of where this species occurs today. The British naturalist Brian Hodgson gave the dhole the binomial name Canis primivus, assuming that it is the progenitor of the domestic dog. Hodgson later took note of the dhole's physical distinctiveness from the genus Canis and assigned it to a new genus Cuon. The first study on the origins of the species was conducted by paleontologist Eric Thenius, who concluded that the dhole was a post-Pleistocene descendant of a golden jackal-like ancestor. The earliest known member of the genus Cuon is the Chinese C. major of the Villafranchian period. It resembled Canis in its physical form more than the modern species, which has greatly reduced molars, whose cusps have developed into sharply trenchant points. By the Middle Pleistocene, Majora had lost the last lower molar altogether. C. alpinus itself arose during the late Middle Pleistocene, by which point the transformation of the lower molar into a single cusped, slicing tooth had been completed. Late Middle Pleistocene dholes were virtually indistinguishable from their modern descendants, save for their greater size. which closely approached that of the grey wolf. The dhole became extinct in much of Europe during the late WRM period, though it may have survived up until the early Holocene in the Iberian Peninsula, and at Riparian in northern Italy. The vast Pleistocene range of this species also included numerous islands in Asia that this species no longer inhabits, such as Sri Lanka, Borneo, and possibly Palawan in the Philippines. The fossil record indicates that the species also occurred in North America, with remains being found in Bering Sea in Mexico. The dhole's distinctive morphology has been a source of much confusion in determining the species' systematic position among the Canidae. George Simpson placed the dhole in the subfamily Cimacyonae alongside the African wild dog and the bush dog, on account of all three species' similar dentition. Subsequent authors, including Juliet Clutton-Brock, noted greater morphological similarities to canids of the genera Canis, Dusicyon and Alapex than to either Sputhos or Lycon, with any resemblance to the latter two being due to convergent evolution. Subsequent studies on the canid genome revealed that the dhole and African wild dog are closely related to members of the genus Canis, and that both are more closely related to grey wolves, coyotes, golden wolves, golden jackals and Ethiopian wolves than the more basal black-backed and side-striped jackals are. This closeness to Canis may have been confirmed in a menagerie in Madras where, according to zoologist Reginald Pokick, a dhole interbred with a golden jackal. Subspecies. Historically, up to 10 subspecies of dhole have been recognized. As of 2005 update, only 3 subspecies are recognized by MSW3. However, studies on dhole mtDNA and microsatellite genotype showed that there are no clear subspecific distinctions. Nevertheless, 2 major phylogeographic groupings were discovered in dholes of the Asian mainland, which likely diverged during a glaciation event. One population extends from south, central, and north India into Burma, and the other extends from India north of the Ganges into northeastern India, Burma, Thailand and the Malaysian peninsula. The origin of dholes in Sumatra and Java is, as of 2005, unclear, as they show greater relatedness to dholes in India, Burma and China rather than with those in nearby Malaysia. In the absence of further data, the researchers involved in the study speculated that Javan and Sumatran dholes could have been introduced to the islands by humans. Characteristics. In appearance, the dhole has been variously described as combining the physical characteristics of the grey wolf and red fox, and as being cat-like, on account of its long backbone and slender limbs. It has a wide and massive skull with a well-developed sagittal crest, and its mast muscles are highly developed compared to other canid species, giving the face an almost hyena-like appearance. The rostrum is shorter than that of domestic dogs and most other canids. The species has 6 rather than 7 lower molars. The upper molars are weak, being 1/3 to 1/2 the size of those of wolves, and have only 1 cusp as opposed to 2 to 4, as is usual in canids. An adaptation thought to improve shearing ability, thus allowing it to compete more successfully with kleptoparasites. Adults may weigh over 18 kilograms, with females usually weighing 4.5 kilograms less than males. It stands 17 to 22 inches at the shoulder and measures 3 feet in body length. Like the African wild dog, its ears are rounded rather than pointed. It has 6 to 7 pairs of teats, sometimes 8. The general tone of the fur is reddish, with the brightest hues occurring in winter. In the winter coat, the back is clothed in a saturated rusty red to reddish color with brownish highlights along the top of the head, neck and shoulders. The throat, chest, flanks, belly and the upper parts of the limbs are less brightly colored, and are more yellowish in tone. The lower parts of the limbs are whitish, with dark brownish bands on the anterior sides of the forelimbs. The muzzle and forehead are grayish-reddish. The tail is very luxuriant and fluffy, and is mainly of a reddish ochreous color, with a dark brown tip. The summer coat is shorter, coarser and darker. The dorsal and lateral guard hairs in adults measure 20 to 30 mm in length. Dholes in the Moscow Zoo molt once a year from March to May. Dholes produce whistles resembling the calls of red foxes, sometimes rendered as cuckoo. How this sound is produced is unknown, though it is thought to help in coordinating the pack when traveling through thick brush. When attacking prey, they emit screaming caw sounds. Other sounds include whines, growls, screams, chatterings and yapping cries. In contrast to wolves, dholes do not howl or bark. Dholes have a complex body language. Friendly or submissive greetings are accompanied by horizontal lip retraction and the lowering of the tail, as well as licking. Playful dholes will open their mouths with their lips retracted and their tails held in a vertical position whilst assuming a play bow. Aggressive or threatening dholes will pucker their lips forward in a snarl and raise the hairs on their backs, as well as keep their tails horizontal or vertical. When afraid, they pull their lips back horizontally with their tails tucked and their ears flat against the skull. Distribution and habitat. There are currently no confirmed recent reports of dhole being present in Russia, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan or Tajikistan, though one specimen was caught in southern China's Jiangxi district. Also, in 2011 to 2013, local government officials and herders reported the presence of several packs at altitudes of 2,000 to 3,500 meters near the Tax-Gorgan Reserve in the Karakoram, Pamir Mountains region of the Xinjiang Autonomous Region, on China's border with Pakistan, Tajikistan and Afghanistan. Dholes have been also recently reported from the Altai Mountains in the southern portion of the Xinjiang Autonomous Region close to Tibet as well. It is unknown if dholes continue to inhabit Tian Shan, though they occur in small numbers in Gansu province, with one pack being sighted in the Kilian Mountains within that province in 2006. Camera trap surveys in the Yanchuan National Nature Reserve in the northern edge of this Gansu province in 2013-2014 confirmed the continued presence of several packs and a female adult with pups in this area at altitudes of approximately 2,500 to 4,000 meters. Dholes still occur in Tibet, and may still inhabit North Korea. Although they have not been recorded in Pakistan, they once occurred in the alpine steppes extending into Kashmir. They occur in most of India south of the Ganges, particularly in the central Indian highlands and the western and eastern Ghats of the southern states. In northeast India, they inhabit Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Meghalaya, and West Bengal. The situation of dholes in the Himalaya and northwest India is precarious, and populations fragmented. They may occur in Kashmir's Ladakh area. Dholes once occurred in the Indo-Gangetic Plains Terai region. In 2011, dhole packs were recorded by camera traps in the Chitwan National Park. Their presence was confirmed in the Kanchenjunga Conservation Area in 2011 by camera traps. In Bhutan, dholes have recovered from a poisoning campaign during the 1970s, and became re-established in the 1990s. Today they occur in the Jigme Dorji National Park. Dholes still occur in northeastern Bangladesh's forest reserves in the Sylhet area, as well the Chittagong Hill Tracts in the southeast. It is unlikely that these zones contain viable populations, considering most sightings involve small groups or solitary specimens, and the likely decreasing in number due to the lack of prey. The presence of dholes in Myanmar was confirmed by camera trapping in 11 areas and, alongside leopards, have apparently replaced tigers as the country's top predators. Their range is highly fragmented in the Malaysian Peninsula, Sumatra, Java, Vietnam and Thailand. In 2014, camera trap videos in the montane tropical forests at 2,000 meters in the Kerinci Sabat National Park in Sumatra revealed the continued presence of this species. A camera trapping survey in the Khawang Runai Wildlife Sanctuary in Thailand during January 2008 to February 2010 revealed at least one healthy dhole pack. In northern Laos, dholes have been studied recently in protected areas. In Central Asia, dholes primarily inhabit mountainous areas in the western half of its range. They live mostly in alpine meadows and high montane steppes high above sea level, while in the east, they mainly ranges in montane taigas, though may appear along coastlines. In India, Myanmar, Indochina, Indonesia and China, they prefer forested areas in alpine zones, and occasionally also in plains regions. A disjunct population of this species has been reported from the area of Trabzon and Rize in northeastern Turkey near the border with Georgia in the 1990s by two Turkish zoologists. Some authorities have accepted this report, but others considered it to be unreliable. Also, one single individual was claimed to have been shot recently in 2013 in the nearby Kabardino-Balkaria Republic. Its remains were analyzed by a biologist from the Kabardino-Balkarian State University in May 2015, who concluded the skull was from a dhole. Recently, in August 2015, researchers from the National Museum of Natural History from Sofia, Bulgaria and the Karadenas Technical University began an expedition to track and document this possible Turkish population of dhole. Recently, on October 12, 2015, this research team reported the preliminary conclusion that no real evidence exists of a living population of the dhole in Turkey, pending DNA analysis of samples from the original 1994 Serra Zeroglu skins.